So while we've got our two Rover 45s up on stands, I thought I'd do this little video on how to remove the plastic sill guard or sill protector, which you can see it runs from the back wheel arch all the way up to the front. The first thing you need to do is here where you may have seen the video we did on the mud flaps. If you remove these three, well, they're bolts here, but they may be screws on yours. Remove them so that this piece of plastic wheel arch is loose. And then underneath the sill, I come under here and show you down, you'll see that there's these little plastic type screws that come out. Now when you remove these, the original ones might not go back or they may break, so it's always worth having some of these in stock, and I think we got some just simply by looking on eBay. So you can see there's a series of them all the way along the bottom. Once they're removed, the sill is then held on by some clips behind here, and they are clips that this sill slides onto. So what you need to do is just tap it here, and it should go that way, slide off the clips and then drop down. Now what I'll do is go over to our sill Rover 45 and show you with the sill off and what the plastic sill protector looks once it's off. Right, so once you've tapped your sill over towards the front of the car, that plastic sill protector guard would have come off, and that reveals the actual real sill here. And you can now clearly see that the two little screws or bolts that held this on, you've removed, so that's released this, and it's well worth doing this one up here so that can be pulled away. And then you can see on this plastic sill the little holes where all those plastic sort of screw attachments or connections go, and up on the sill are the white plastic clips, and if I bring this sill round you'll be able to see how they clip in. So it's got an opening here, so again when you're putting the sill back on you'll have it biased towards the front, line it up with those clips and slot it back into those clips, and that then initially holds it on for you to put these back. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of mud on this sill, and also a lot of mud on the main metal sill as well, and that's one of the reasons that we try and take these off. Probably a good thing is once a year. We probably do it once every 2 years, and we've scraped a bit of this mud off, but this was actually full of mud in here. And the other thing to watch out for at the front is the sill guard goes right over this part of the sill underneath, and what you can sometimes find is rust starts to form on this bit. What we've done, lucky enough, there was just some surface rust, we've taken that back and red oxided it, but it's also a place where you may end up having to weld if it's bad. But if you can get it off and do what we've done, it saves a lot of work long term, and it's something you need to keep an eye on, because just because you've treated it doesn't mean that rust won't still come back through. So it's well worth checking out. What we will do next is clean all this mud off and clean this sill up and put it back, but hopefully it shows you it's not actually too bad a thing to do. As I say, it's the screws underneath those plastic ones, these screws or little bolts here slide the sill that way and it drops down, and to put it back you line it up with these plastic clips that you can see all the way along, push the sill back that way onto them. And as I say, that's why we take it off mainly, is just to check that underneath there for any rust, get any mud off that's built up here, and completely cleaned out. So just like the sill on the car, we've cleaned up the black plastic cover now, so that's looking much better and ready to go back on. We also cleaned all the inside of the sill and removed all that mud that's been building up over the last year or so. So I thought I'd just show you the fixings that are used. So you may have seen on that shot of the sill, it was these plastic fittings here, and what happens is that they stay on the sill like that, and when you push the sill on, you're pushing the sill along, and that basically clips in. So that's what or how it's held to the metal seal. Now underneath it's these little plastic fixings that consist of this part here and the little plastic screw. Quite clever really. The way that works is basically they get pushed through this hole here and into the underneath of the car, and then when the screw is then threaded through, it opens up those little spikes and keeps the bottom on. And I think probably the reason they've used plastic is to stop it rusting. The only problem is with the plastic is often they do sometimes break, but it looks like actually most of the ones on this car have come off okay, so we are going to be able to use them. So as you can see from the last shot, I've cleaned all along the piece of sill that's normally covered by the plastic guard, and what we've now done is painted the hole underneath in metal paint. I'll just try and pan across there to give you a rough idea of what we've done, and you can see where that red oxide is. That's now all painted, so we're now ready for the sill to go back on. I'll show you a little bit more about how we fit that back next. Right, so now we're back by the car and ready to put the sill on. We're working on the passenger side, and the sills are actually marked. I thought I'd just mention that as left-hand side, and then the left-hand side in this case is the passenger side. Of course, we're going to be slotting it onto these hooks that run all the way along the visible part of the sill, and as I said in that earlier bit of the video, they hook into these hooks here. So we're going to be putting it on bias to the front of the car and then pushing it that way to lock it onto those latches, which we'll show you in just a minute. Right, so it's in place and we're just going to knock it down onto those latches. And that's it, locked and latched. Now it'll be the case of just putting under the plastic screws, which once again go all along those little inserts. Right. So that's the seal back on. Of course, we've just got to put these screw mounters back here. We're going to be putting the mud flap on this, just like we did on our green 45. Of course, all the fixings underneath are back in there. It's focusing there for you, so you can see all of them are back in. And of course, the rust has been treated now up here, red oxide, and then we've painted the hole underneath the car as part of our sill inspection. So hopefully, if you're planning to remove the plastic sills on the Rover 45, this little video has helped you and give you some idea what's involved and any useful tips, and let you see the way we go about tackling it and why we would be removing the sills as well.